Welcome to episode 7, I believe, right? 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7, lucky number 7 of Bagels and Locks. I'm Jason Silverstone alongside my co-host, as always, not just today, Brandon Rothenberg. We have a pretty packed episode for you guys today. Some NBA teams have arrived in Orlando. Some interesting stuff going on with the food that they've received so far. We'll get into that in a little bit. And perhaps the WNBA players even have it worse than they do. We're talking NFL. The Washington team is thinking of a rebrand and a rename. We'll discuss that. Mahomes is like one of the richest people in the world now. That's pretty awesome for him.
Oh, yeah.
And then we will be talking the MLB, everything you guys need to know before the season starts back up, coming pretty quickly. And lastly, Brandon and I will be breaking down our 4 ballpark foods we will miss during the apocalypse. So, as I said, a jam-packed episode. But before we jump into it, Brandon, how are you, my guy?
I'm good, Jason. I'm hot still. I feel like since our last episode, we've been in this tough heat wave that we can't break. It is supposed to rain later this week, which is nice. But I've been out golfing pretty much every day for the most part. Still trying to lower that score as much as I can, but it gets hard in this sweltering humidness that is West Bloomfield, Michigan. But aside from that, I've been playing a lot of MLB The Show recently now that things are really starting to tick. Summer camp is going on across all of Major League Baseball. I won a crazy game last night of The Show, like crazy. I came back down from a 3-run deficit twice, and then in the 9th inning, I hit a go-ahead home run with Juan Soto. Like, it was a pimp job. Like, Matt Vasgersian, the broadcaster in MLB The Show, it was just the camera angle, everything. You knew it was gone. And the dude quit on me. So That's tough for him. I wanted to send him a message after because I like doing that. You know, just like
You're that
casual
guy, huh?
GG. Yeah. And I went to send him a message, and it said, like, his privacy settings, he doesn't allow that.
Wow.
It goes to show that he probably loses some tough ones every now and then. Doesn't want people hitting him up. But, yeah, I was really excited about that. But yeah, also just downloaded 2K20, which is funny because I'm
a little late.
They do a little late, sure. But they do the free games of the month for PlayStation Plus, and I had 2K19. I just don't buy the new sports games every year they come out. It's just a waste unless it looks drastically different. Then I'll consider it. But it was the 2K20 was one of the free games of the month, so I was like, why not? So I've yet to play it, but I will be playing for sure within the next few days. What's good with you though, Jay? Anything new?
Honestly, not much is new. Just kind of been enjoying summer for the most part. As you said, this heat wave has been absolutely brutal. Kind of makes you not want to be outside for too long just because it gets a little too hot and sticky and really no fun. But, I mean, that's pretty much been it for me. There's been a lot of I feel like there's been a lot of fireworks this year. And I read something that because of Corona and everyone, quarantining and all that stuff, that there was like a huge decrease in fireworks sales. And I have to say, whoever put that out there could not be more wrong, because I swear to God, maybe it's just because I'm like sitting at home and all I can do is hear them, you know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, I just feel like I hear them all the time, and my dog is scared shitless of these fucking fireworks, dude. She freaks out. She goes in and out of everyone. Like, she'll come into my room and she thinks it'll be like safe in there, and then another one will go off and she'll like go in my sister's room, and then another one will go off. She'll come back in my room. So she's looking for like a safe room where like they just aren't happening. And it's like, dude, like these are gonna go on for a couple hours. Like, you need to relax because you're driving me nuts. But I mean, other than that, that's pretty much been it, honestly.
Well, you can do them. They're like legal, right, in Michigan, and you can do them the day before, the day of, and the day after a major holiday legally. Because I used to be really into fireworks
I'm
but
sure you were.
I didn't even do them this year. Kind of a bummer. I mean, there's the Phantom Fireworks store on right by Samurai Steakhouse, which I'm
Hmm.
sure business has been slow. It's slow all year except for the fourth. Um, but yeah, they I know that there's like several of the major holidays you can legally do them before the day of and after. So I had noticed that on July 5th there was also a solid amount of fireworks being blown because that's for like anybody who never got to do them on the holiday themselves. Maybe they were out on the boat or doing something else. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I never got to do my annual fireworks this year. It's not too late. Maybe I'll consider doing it another point in time. But speaking of fireworks,
For my dog's
Jason.
sake, just please don't. That's my only request.
Okay, I will. I will keep that in mind. But if you want to talk about fireworks and some things that are exploding, some exploding news throughout the NBA, teams are reporting to Orlando, which is awesome considering we are just a couple of weeks away from that July 30th start date. But the biggest news, aside from that, is this food. The food that the players are getting at the three resorts, which we have talked about numerous times.
Yep.
Um, so Troy Daniels posted a picture. This was late last night. So there's a picture of the menu. It says Tuesday, July 7th dinner. Fresh garden greens, arugula, watermelon, pickled red onions, goat cheese, yada, yada, yada. The biggest part of this meal here is the Italian grilled chicken with natural juice. That
Natural
is
Jew,
oh,
whitefish with tomato.
Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the meat and potatoes of this meal, right? And then I don't even see it in this picture,
There was a
in the
follow-up
picture that he
picture.
put.
I didn't put it in this document by accident. I messed that up. But there was a follow-up picture. It doesn't look that appetizing as you
I
would imagine.
no, I so you're right. I saw it though. I saw the
Okay.
picture of the
Good.
chicken, and it came in like a um
Like a
like a
to-go
styrofoam,
box. Yeah.
yeah, like something you get at Landon. It literally looked like they went to Landon
No, Landon's pretty
cafeteria
good.
in
This
Michigan.
this doesn't live up to Landon
Well,
standards. Let me
yeah,
tell you.
I would think I would prefer a Landon meal over that for sure. It's very cafeteria style. Everyone immediately started roasting them, roasting the food, comparing it to, you remember, I'm sure, the Fire Festival and how people were promised these like massive meals and everything was supposed to be gourmet, and then
Yes.
they got like a piece of bread with two pieces of cheese on there. People are
Delicious.
comparing it in the same regard. It's literally served to them on a cafeteria tray, which is really funny. But you had told me this morning that this isn't the case. The food is not always going to look like this, right?
Yeah. I saw somewhere online, I think Twitter, that I guess when the players first arrive, they're all quarantined to their rooms for like 48 hours or something like that. And over that course of time, these meals are brought to them. But afterwards, they get like the real chef experience and will be eating well, as you know, you would imagine it would be. I guess we'll have to wait and see whether that's true or not. But I would be shocked if this was the situation for the entirety of their stay. I mean, there's just no way. And as always, you know, Twitter had their field day with this one. I saw a
Mm-hmm.
couple like funny tweets. One of them was like something along the lines of, "I had this exact same lunch in seventh grade," or something like that, like at my middle school cafeteria. If you want to look at it, just give it a quick Google. Just look up like NBA bubble food or NBA bubble dinner. It's just like a million articles about it. Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah.
Um, but
They're just
yeah,
doing themselves. They're doing themselves a disservice, if you ask me. I mean, like you said though, with the situation, how they have to quarantine for 48 hours, and they're getting these meals brought to them. But they gotta figure whoever put that meal together on that tray had to had a slight thought in their mind of whoever I'm delivering this to is gonna find this hysterical. They're not gonna like it, and they're probably gonna post it online, right? I would think that
yeah,
if I was in the kitchen at the Grand Floridian Hotel and Resort and Suite, that if I'm making this meal, this isn't, quality up to NBA players' standards. But I do think, I agree with you that this will only be like a temporary thing for everyone who's just arriving. And only in the days to come are we going to see if that actually changes or if these are how their meals are going to be. But I would assume they can still congregate at, the dinner table or the lunch table or something. And it's not like they're going to be stuck in their rooms and
No,
they're
I think they're literally stuck in their rooms for like 48
even,
hours.
well, no, I'm saying after those 48
Oh yeah,
hours.
after they can, yeah, they'll be eating together. I mean, they're gonna be on the court together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's the difference?
Exactly.
I think we laugh now, but then at the end of those 48 hours, we'll see how actually good they're eating, and we will be pretty envious of them, especially the very playoff bound teams, Bucks, Lakers, Clippers. Those guys will be eating great every day. Hopefully, all
Well,
things
hopefully
considered
they're all eating
for
great.
some time now. Hopefully, yeah. But I'm saying for some of those guys, it's gonna fizzle out. You get knocked out of the playoffs, and you gotta wave bye to your prime rib every
Yep.
single day, cut by the chef in the dining room lounge. So enjoy it while they can. But we're talking here about the NBA and the potential for how awesome this bubble lifestyle is going to be. Over in the WNBA, though, completely different story, Jason.
Yeah, so I was telling you about this earlier. You know, a lot of people. You actually brought the NBA thing to my attention. We're saying, have you seen this? I'm sure you have. And I was like, yeah. But have you seen what's happening in the WNBA? He said, no. What's going on? So if you haven't been put in the loop, look it up. Look up WNBA bubble, and you don't have to even put food after that because the food is the least of
Yeah.
their concerns. Also, some people are calling this the Wubble, which I kind of love. I think that's a great name for it. They're also in Florida at the IMG Academy, but there have been some videos that have leaked of the Wubble. If you look at the video of the laundry room, it's all disheveled. There's mouse traps all over the place. It looks like it's the laundry room of like
An
242 or like
abandoned,
Bow
yeah,
Street. You know what I
you're
mean? Just
right. An
awful,
abandoned like
like
building.
a trap house, legitimately. And
Yes.
then there was another leaked video of in the bedrooms there was a worm just crawling around on the floor right next to
Ugh.
one of the players' beds, and the
Look at
meal
that
is
carpeting
yeah, the
too. I mean,
carpeting. I mean, obviously that's like the cheapest fucking carpeting like in ever.
the history of carpets.
Yeah, and then the meal is like it's like I'm
Gross.
telling you guys, you just have to look this up for yourself. And the meal is like comically like constructed. Like you when you were saying the guys giving the meal to the NBA players and knew that it was going to get posted online, imagine giving this to a
This
WNBA player. I mean, it looks just like a bowl
slop.
of mush. Yeah, it looks like a
It's
swamp in
little
a bowl. Like it's like
slop. The only
disgusting.
thing you can tell from that is the zucchini and
The beef.
yeah, the beef. Is it beef though?
I don't
I don't
know,
know. It looks like there's like mashed potato remnants in there. It's like a 2 week old like KFC $5 fill up with
dude.
veggies.
Who knows what
It's
the hell this thing is? It is not good. And then they also have showers that do not drain,
oh oh
which
the
is like
worst.
they're supposed to
That's
be there for like I think they're 30
comfort.
games or something. I don't even think it's that many, but they're for like 20 games or something. But still, I mean, if you're practicing, you're coming back, you want to shower, and
Oh my
you got the
god.
same sweat and dirt and
Ugh.
shit there from 3 weeks
Ugh.
ago when you first got there. I mean, this is just absolutely embarrassing. And I know the WNBA, like if you look into it, they actually lose money every year. It's not a profitable league. They're held up by the NBA itself to keep it going. You know, obviously it's a good thing to have, and women should have this opportunity to go out there and play and all that great stuff. But I mean, if you're gonna put these NBA players in some of the nicest, Disney hotels, one that was built last year, you can't treat the women players like this. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna
It,
fly, and they're not gonna play. I wouldn't play if this was the situation.
no.
I'd be like, I'm going home. Like, fuck this.
It
This
caught it caught Dame's attention, it caught Damian Lillard's attention, it caught John Morant. Like all these guys, tweeted about it, Morant and Lillard. That's just totally wrong. I don't see how the decision making process went into that. It makes no sense, and it's something's got to be done because I would think some of those players are opting out solely because of like the conditions and how unfair it is. Like that's just so wrong. Like why would you want to even take part? Like let alone risking the virus and playing and whatnot. But that just goes to show like who does anyone care about? Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Seeing those conditions. So
Mm.
I mean, yeah, you brought that to my attention this morning, and I was shocked. I mean, most camps for like 6 and 7 year olds,
Or
they're
nicer.
yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
like they're
really
staying at
messed
like
up.
a Motel 6. That's
Yeah.
like what they're staying at. It's ridiculous. And I love the WNBA. I hope they fix this and get it right. I actually
Mhm.
have been watching it the past couple years. I'm a big Connecticut Sun fan. They were the runners up last year. Courtney Williams, one of my favorite players, and I just feel horrible for them. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
unjust and something they got to figure out. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully, some big changes come there. Speaking of big changes, though, Jason, last week we saw that Damian Lillard was announced as the 2K current generation cover athlete, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I think he's totally deserving of that reward, that award, I should say. And then we also saw that Zion Williamson was announced as second cover of the next gen 2K21 release, which I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that? He only played
I'm pissed
19
about it, to
games.
be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think that John Morant was way more deserving because
I don't.
clearly they decided to go with a young star rookie in Zion. I just don't get how you pick him. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
he was
mean,
out for the majority of the season, even though he did ball. I mean, he put up some
yeah,
solid numbers, and obviously the season is still going to be taking place, and he's looked like 12 times as big since we last saw him. I'm sure you saw the pictures of how
yeah.
muscular he is, but still, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm just pretty upset, honestly. Kind of as you said, he hasn't even played 20 games in his NBA career. First off, second of off, like I understand, like he's been very famous since he's been in high school. People have known about him and his dunks, and at Duke was very famous and was the
Big
number one
household name.
pick. And he's a big household name. He has a lot of appeal for games to sell and stuff. But I mean, LeBron did not even get on the cover of 2K until he was on the Miami Heat. So I just don't understand how after 19 games you're going to give it to this kid. I do think Ja Morant is more deserving, but who I actually would have really liked to see was Luka Doncic, who's already
Mm,
been in the league for a year, has international appeal because he's a
yeah,
foreign player, and is like putting up ridiculous numbers and has throughout his first 2 years. Already won a Rookie of the Year award. We don't even know if Zion's going to win Rookie of the Year. It very may well be Ja Morant. We really don't know.
hmm
Um, but and think about if you're Damian Lillard. I mean, you've busted. Not that being on the cover of 2K is everything, but to some of these guys,
yes,
it might be. But you've busted
sure,
your ass for all of these years, gotten your teams to the playoffs. You've been the star, the head guy, been out
carrying
there,
your team
putting
season
the
after
team
season.
exactly, and you get put on the current gen, which is like gonna sell. It's definitely gonna sell less than next gen because
Yeah,
everyone's going to want it on their new console. So I just think it was sort of not only disrespectful to past cover athletes, but I thought it was especially disrespectful to Damian Lillard. I'm sure, if I don't know if he's commented on it yet or not, but I'm sure he probably doesn't have a problem with it. But
no.
you know,
Well, they made like a big commercial that included him, so obviously he knows that Zion and
mm-hmm,
was the next gen athlete. But I like that point that you bring up about sales, and you can assume that the Zion, the next gen games will sell high, like probably twice, three times as many copies because everyone in the world wants the next gen system. And it's totally unfair to Dame because, like you say, I think more people are going to be buying the next generation copy of the game, and it just doesn't really do him justice. And Luca, in that same regard, totally should have been the cover athlete instead of Zion. But we did predict that Kobe was going to be. They announced there was three cover athletes. We knew that Kobe was going to be one of them. Sure enough, that prediction was right. The cover art for it is really beautiful.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
There's two covers. There's Kobe old school rocking the 8 jersey, and then new school, if you will, Kobe rocking the 24
Which we also
jersey.
predicted.
Yeah, we knew that there had been two editions. There was no new information released in regards to what the legendary edition will come with. I mean, they did announce like you get like 100,000 VC and you get this and you get that, but nothing in regards to the game itself. Like if there's going to be any sort of super team, something that involves Kobe, maybe like a Kobe mode. We don't really know yet. I would think they're going to have to get a little creative with this one. But as of right now, there is nothing that they have announced. One thing that they did announce, though, Jason, is that the list price for the next gen copy of 2K21 starts at $70 and has led to a further discussion as to whether or not this will be the pattern for all next generation games to come. For years and years, since the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, games have been listed at $59.99, so $60. It's been engraved in my head ever since I was little and owned a PS3. That's how much a new game would cost you. But now they're saying with this whole new next generation system that games will be $70. So I'm curious to see your thoughts. I think it was an interesting topic to bring up. And if you guys have any thoughts, feel free to let us know. I think it makes sense adding this $10, fee on top of the original $60. But you're shaking your head. You seem a little ticked off.
I'm pissed
What are your
off,
thoughts?
dude. I'm very angry about this. If you look at 2K, you look at games like Madden, you look at games like FIFA, if
Mm-hmm.
you look at most of the popular games, I'll say there's some games that I can understand the justification of raising it for $10, but a lot of these games have VC or Madden points, FIFA points, whatever, microtransactions within the game, if
Mm-hmm.
you will. That makes up, if you like Madden last year, or at least it was from like I think from like February to May of this year, they like in microtransactions alone, they like outsold the physical copy of the game like 5 times over. Like the amount of
Wow.
money they make on microtransactions is
Uh-huh.
ridiculously like quintuple the time of the price of the actual game. And so for them to have the audacity for me to spend 10, like it's only $10, whatever, but like for me to have to
Mm-hmm.
spend 10 more dollars when the majority of their sales are coming not even from the physical game itself, but from microtransactions within the game is just absolutely ridiculous. Because I could be using that $10 to buy those microtransactions or, something along those lines. And I mean, $70 is like a lot. That's a lot of money. Like, I don't know, like if they realize there's like a pandemic, like the economy was like fully shut down, like it's
Mm-hmm.
like not fucking really that easy to cough up, 70
70
bucks. And,
bucks.
the more games you buy over time, that extra $10 adds up and it's going to eventually come up out to the price of a full other game that you could have had.
Right.
But then you have like my argument for the other games, like, let's say like The Last of Us 2, like let's say that came out on next gen, like that game doesn't have microtransactions, it's all like a story and like whatever, like sure, like I'll pay 10 extra bucks for that. I understand
Mm-hmm.
it's a more expensive console and the graphics and whatever, makes sense there. But
Yeah.
for these games that make all of their money from microtransactions to ask for $10 more upon a game release, and they make money on, DLC and all this stuff. I mean, it's just absolutely absurd of them to ask for that from their fans. But people, what are they going to do? They're just going to stop playing 2K over 10 extra bucks? Like, they know that they can
No.
do it, so they're going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel I like that point. I feel like you could charge the sports games, at that regular $60 price range, solely because, like you said, the microtransactions are huge. And if someone spends $5 in a microtransaction, the odds are that they're probably going to eventually spend more over time,
Of
considering they
course.
already made that first purchase. It's funny though, I have never made a purchase like that, other than like DLC related, like back in the days of like Call of Duty Zombies, when you wanted new maps, I would do that. But I've
Hmm.
never done it with a sports game. Um, the other thing too is, in terms of next gen sports games, we've only seen the minute long Zion trailer, and there was no gameplay. It was literally just him sweating his ass off in the gym. It looked sweet. It looked just like him. But we've had this discussion before, as with new sports games every year. In my opinion, the only thing that changes is the roster updates. The graphics, if anything, barely make a change. The play-by-play, it's always the same. So to spend that extra $10 for the sports games, especially when they have all of that stuff logged, right? So they have all of those, any sort of line that has ever been spoken in those games, they have on record. Like it's got to be a really considerable big change for sports games if I'm going to go ahead and spend that extra $10.
Yeah.
So we will see. Very exciting, considering we've only seen a little bit of a snippet from next gen sports games. We can only imagine what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. I know the PlayStation 5, the controller is supposed to have um, feedback in terms of like everything that's going on in the game. I mean, I can't really
It
put that
also
into
has
any
like a
more words.
built-in microphone in it. It has like it's like a way better controller. It's apparently like the best
Yeah,
controller or whatever.
yeah, we don't really know what that's going to hold in the future of um, next gen games, sports games like 2K. But anyway, we're going to move on here and discuss some of the names, big name players that have decided to opt out or that are returning. So for a while, Dwight Howard was talking about, with all the recent activity going on in the world, the Black Lives Matter movement, all the racial injustice, that he was considering sitting out for this new season coming up. And that was a big deal because, well, one, Dwight, veteran player, great leader, has been balling, was hooping for the Lakers prior to shutdown. And he would have been a big name for them to sit out. But we saw, like you had said last week, they went ahead, they signed J.R. Smith,
Yep, we called that one
and
too.
called that one too to
We're on a
replace Avery
roll.
Bradley. Yes, yeah, our predictions are, watch this a year from now when the PlayStation's out and some of our thoughts and everything we came up with came true. But yeah, so Dwight will be returning, which is great news for the Lakers. But Jason, I want to ask you, because we really haven't thought about this yet. Let's say at a key point in the season, regardless of Major League Baseball or the NBA, if you have a big name player go out because of the virus, what does that effect look like on the league itself and that team? Right? If LeBron goes out, how does the NBA react to that?
I mean, Adam Silver made a statement, I believe, yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, saying if there was I don't. He said if there's a significant numbers of players who end up having to sit out with the virus, that they'll shut everything down again. And the question is, well, how do you define a significant number? What does that mean?
Yeah,
And obviously, he's going to keep that number to himself. But um, I mean, that would really suck for the Lakers. Like, obviously, as you can imagine, without your star players, your chances of winning games and much less winning a championship are very diminished, and probably affects team morale because you got a lot of guys wondering, oh, like, well, I was just practicing with him yesterday. Like, do I have it? Am I fucked? and you
Hmm.
have the whole paranoia of the virus and everything. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it has a huge impact, to answer your question.
And you see too a lot of experts and players are saying, well, whoever ends up winning, is there an asterisk next to the
Hmm.
champion? And if you think about it, if you have some of the best, NBA athletes go out with the virus, their team dwindles drastically, right? If you have Kawhi go out on the Lakers or on the Clippers, excuse me, and if you had like AD or like these big name guys, if they're out, a surprise team could come. I mean, the Trailblazers, like if they have a healthy Dame and no one else is like sick, like you got to take that into consideration. Teams that are lucky enough to probably not have anyone sick or maybe one minor player sick, like that can make a huge difference. And I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of people aren't thinking about. The only thought right now is the excitement of the NBA returning. But we're seeing it already, especially in Major League Baseball. A lot of guys are testing positive. Granted, it's only summer camp, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks they'll return and the season will start. They'll hopefully be in good shape. But that's something that we have to consider is it's great that sports will be back, but some of these guys might be coming down with the virus and we just won't know.
So I sort of want to talk about what you just mentioned with with saying a team has an asterisk next to their name after winning the title. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up what Adam Silver recently said, not to keep going back to the commissioner, but he said that I think the team deserves a gold star considering all the circumstances of everything that's gone on this year, all the hardships they've faced, all these different protocols and guidelines they've had to go through, that there shouldn't be an asterisk, but diminishing this title, whoever may win it, but there should be a gold star sort of uplifting the team even more so who ends up accomplishing this feat.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that too. I don't think it was Adam Silver who said it, but it made me think more of they're right because you stop all the momentum that a team has going into this complete hiatus of basketball, basically starting all over again. You've guys that are going through some guys are going through the virus, other guys are going through other things, dealing with the racial injustice right now. And to have to take all that away for a second and, re get in that mindset of we got games to win. And for some of these teams, their 8 most important games they've had to play is really difficult. And then, let alone you have a team that's eventually going to win the championship and overcome all those things. It's not easier for them. This wasn't an asterisk in the place of you guys had it easier. Maybe this doesn't count. It's not that. It's really an asterisk of this was the craziest season that anyone's had to endure ever. No one's ever experienced something like this. We didn't know it was coming. And it's just a total curveball thrown at you that you're overcoming all these obstacles and you came out on top. So I think that in a sense it is an asterisk of positivity of like this team overcame all these obstacles to get to where they are today and completely start over fresh. So I think that's a great point that Silver makes, and we'll see once the season resumes how big of an effect this hiatus and everything has on the teams and the players.
Most definitely. And before we move on to the NFL, sorry, it's been a lot of NBA talk so far. But LeBron's decision to go to Miami was exactly 10 years ago today. I can't believe it's been a decade. Like, I
Yeah,
remember watching that on TV live. That was crazy. But today is Wednesday, July 8th. So, for those wondering the exact date.
yep, 2010, baby, crazy, different times, different world. We were 10 years ago. Let's see, I was 12, so we
We
were
were preparing for our bar mitzvahs.
yeah. That was our decision.
Yeah.
Was who we were gonna invite to our bar mitzvah.
Exactly.
LeBron, completely different story.
I sent him an invitation. He never responded.
Really?
No.
I invited Obama.
Did
I
he
got it. I
come?
got it. No, he didn't.
Bummer.
He had another bar mitzvah to attend. He
Yeah. It
sent
was
me
probably
a
it was the
letter though.
same weekend as what's his face's, right?
Eli?
I was just because bar mitzvahs are always on the same. There's
Oh,
always like three in a weekend. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I was
You gotta make your decisions
yeah.
boldly.
Obama just was too booked for that weekend. Oh well.
Yeah, he had a lot going on.
But anyways, on to the National Football League. Washington, the R words, which I've been referring to them for a minute now, they
Yeah.
are changing their, or at least they're thinking about, which will very likely happen, changing their name from the R words to something else. I know Warriors has been one of the names thrown around. There's been a couple of different names. Um, so there's been a lot of controversy, obviously for years about this, but they are
Hmm.
finally feeling some pressure from a bunch of key shareholders who own, I think, 40% of the team, as well as many of their sponsors for both the stadium and the team. So I think it's definitely going to happen. The question is when. I mean, will it happen this season? It's coming up pretty quick. That'd be a pretty fast rebrand and
Turn around.
turnaround. But there's no better time than the present to do something like this. Brandon, what do you think about it?
Well, they like you had said, it had been a discussion in the past, and the owner of the Redskins came out and said, it's just not going to happen. Kind of put his foot down. We saw South Park made fun of it a couple years ago because they love doing those
They're the
things, making
best,
fun
man.
of real world events. I can't wait, by the way, completely off topic, but the next season of South Park is going to be
Unreal.
unimaginable.
We might need to
Unimaginable.
start just a separate podcast to just talk about
Discuss the,
the upcoming season. Yeah.
yeah, make our predictions. Um, but we've seen this discussion carry over into it. Immediately sent shockwaves to other sports. The Cleveland Indians, the Kansas City Chiefs. They just made one of the fattest signing in sports history with Patrick Mahomes, which we'll get to in a second. But do they make the big decision of changing their name? It's been in discussion for years, and now seems like this is the time to do it. And if you see it, these teams, if we see the Washington football team go through with it, and if we see, the Chiefs and maybe the Cleveland Indians, if you're a team that doesn't change your name,
And don't forget the
when
Braves
these
and the Blackhawks
the
too. I mean,
Braves and the
been moved.
Blackhawks, I feel like it's all or nothing, right? Because
Yeah. At what point
otherwise,
do you draw the line? Is kind of the thing. Yeah.
right, you can't say, well, our team, the history and the richness and the yada yada, like you can't give yourself an excuse. I think
Hmm.
it's going to be an all or nothing thing. The only question will be, when do these changes take place? Will each team get one more season as their respective names, team names, and then will we see a change come post Corona, hopefully 2021? Um, will that play out that way? For Washington, like you said, Jason, it's a really fast turnaround. I don't know how they would do it. I and you can't do it halfway through the season.
No.
So if anything, it's going to be right away, which I don't see happening, or it'll happen within the next season or two. That's what I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes a little bit earlier, so let's move on to
Mm-hmm.
that. He signed a 10-year, $503 million deal, locking him in with Kansas City for probably the rest of his career, you would assume.
Oh, oh
And
yeah.
that the first thing I thought when I saw that was like, wow, that is a baseball contract. Like if I've ever seen one like that, does not happen in football, does not happen in
No.
basketball. Like that only happens in baseball, and the Chiefs pulled the trigger on that one.
Yeah, what I thought was funny was it initially was reported as 450 million, which is fat,
Ridiculous.
right?
Yeah.
You can't even fathom that much money. And then it was like, oh wait, it wasn't 450 million, it was 503 million. Okay, that's a huge difference. What, it's $53 million difference. Most guys in the NFL won't make that. I mean, Tom Brady didn't even sign for, like, that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
503 million. So I saw Sports Center tweeted out this picture of basically the breakdown of this new contract. And I remember the last time I saw something similar to this
It's Mike
was when
Trout.
Prince Fielder.
Ooh.
No, it was actually Fielder when he signed with the Tigers. I don't remember exactly what his contract entailed, but they broke it down to like the at bat. So Mahomes makes 503 million over 10 years. In 1 year, he's making 50.3 mil.
This is all on average, by the way. Certain years he's making more, certain years he's making less. But
Yeah,
go on.
but
Sorry.
regardless, $137,000 a day, an hour, $5,742. Okay, this is where it is actually mind blowing. $96 a minute and $1.60 a second. So, Jason, I thought of this. This came to my mind.
Yeah.
You're Patrick Mahomes, right? And hypothetically, someone's like, yo, like Patrick, like, let's go to Chipotle. And then he'll be like, wait. Waits 8 seconds. Boom, he can afford a burrito.
Well, I think by the time he's ordered, if he goes to Chipotle, by the time he's done going through the line and paying, he's made 3 burritos. You know what I mean?
Bro, not even. And the time it takes for him to say whether he wants a burrito bowl or a quesadilla or a burrito, and then pick his rice, white or brown rice.
That's
over.
What?
$20 right there. How do you live? If you got to figure, he saw that, right?
First off, whether he saw it or not, he knows how much money he's worth now. I mean,
but that breakdown is absurd.
Yeah.
In a minute, okay. If he was a guest on Bagels,
dude, think about how much money he makes taking like a long shit. Like he just makes so much fucking money just shitting. Like it's crazy.
$500.
And this is just his contracts. Like this doesn't include all the endorsement deals and all that shit he's getting. You know what I mean?
There's going to be probably a clothing brand of his or something that drops within the next 5-6 years, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is cheesing.
So do you think he's worth it?
Well, in a sense, I do. Because he already won them a Super Bowl. He's young. He's, for the most part, healthy, unless, knock on wood, something happens over the next few seasons.
There's also some stipulations in this contract, like he can't go water skiing, like he can't do shit that would potentially injure him. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That's believable when you're giving someone $500 million to play for your team. But this isn't, in my opinion, he's worth the money, and I don't think it's as risky as offering Garrett Cole or a big-name pitcher this amount of money, because that's a guy who's going every 5 days, who's giving it his all. And if a pitcher gets injured, that could be really bad news for down the road. It would be crushing to see Mahomes gets hurt at some point in time and his talent diminishes. I mean, but regardless, over 10 years, he's not going to be the athlete in 2031, 2030. Sounds so crazy to say out loud, that he was in 2019, right? I mean, he could.
Yeah.
Who knows? 10 years from now, go back and watch this episode of Bagels and Locks, if YouTube even exists.
YouTube's owned by Google. I'm sure it's not going anywhere.
Probably not. Who knows? You may have it in your face. Just you have something that pulls up. But $503 million $100 a minute is mind blowing. And Jason, you and I will never see a day where that happens to us. I don't think, unless either of us become an all-star quarterback
I
over the
forgot to
next
tell you,
decade.
they sent me an invite to the combine for next year already.
Really?
Yeah, I'm coming for
Wow.
Mahomes. I
Well,
I
I
go on.
never
I'm
knew you
sorry.
had an arm. I never knew you had the strap like that.
I actually used to before my shoulder surgery, but
Mm.
now I get a little nervous every time I put a lot of torque under that. But I think he's. I mean, it's like weird to say like he's worth it because it's just so much fucking money. But like,
There's
I
a
mean,
lot you
if
can
the
do with that
Chiefs
money.
felt like he was worth it, I kind of feel like he was worth it. Um, I think he's clearly the best quarterback in the league. Some people may argue Lamar Jackson.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, if you can just look at the throws this kid can make, has made, the type of leader he is. I mean, we saw them in the playoffs down to the Texans, 21 or 24 points. And they come
Which
back and they
just
win that game.
was nothing
Down
to
to
him.
the Titans, they come back and win. I mean, he's clearly a leader. He has a rocket arm. He's mobile. He can make plays that very few people we've ever seen at the
On
quarterback
a football
position
field.
ever be
Yeah.
able to make. And as you said, he's young and has his whole career ahead of him. He's already won you one ring. If you get a couple more
There's,
rings out of him, you have to say this is 100% worth it. Um,
yeah.
but I think if anyone's happy, it's probably all these other quarterbacks whose contracts are coming up because he just raised the roof like
Yeah.
a big time. I remember when Matthew Stafford was the highest paid quarterback in the league. It was like 5 years, 125 million, which is like the deal he's still on now. This is
Hmm.
10 years, 503 million. Like, are you kidding me?
Biggest in all of sports.
Which is
Uh,
crazy because it's been
at
baseball for so long.
years. As a sports fan, right? As if you are a Kansas City Chiefs fan, you're ecstatic because anytime you come across a player who you would hate to see on another team, right? They're one of your own. They start like I think of like Jeter, right? Derek Jeter. If he was ever to be on any other team, Yankees fans would have hated him. But that's the kind of guy who stays and plays his entire career there. Same with Mahomes. I think current day baseball, like Torkelson. I mean, if the way people have been talking about this kid and his power and how he could be the next Mike Trout, if he goes off in over his first 3 seasons, you want to give him all the money to lock him up. You want that guy to be on your team forever. You don't care. You're not spending $503 million of your own money. You
Mm-hmm.
want it. It doesn't matter. So I think Chiefs fans are lit. They are ecstatic. They obviously got themselves a good one, and I don't see Mahomes, uh, playing 1 or 2 more seasons elsewhere like we saw with Brady. I think he's going to be there for his entire career, and we wish him, the best of luck. And right now, he's just living it up. So, Patrick Mahomes, if you happen to stumble upon this episode of Bagels and Locks, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to have you on.
We can't pay you for your time though.
We
We
yeah,
simply cannot afford it.
we promise we won't go water skiing or anything that's written in your contract that you can't do after this.
Moving on,
Mm-hmm.
we have the MLB coming up, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So some news there. Everyone that I know at least has seen this video of Tanaka getting absolutely drilled in the face from a line drive from was it Stanton or Judge? It was Stanton.
Dan,
Yeah. So that was really scary to watch, honestly. I'm really happy to hear that he's out of the hospital and fine, but that looked like
yeah,
lethal.
it's funny. There was a discussion a little while back in terms of pitchers wearing hats that were designed to act as a helmet, but not necessarily, a big ass helmet on their head to protect them from things like that. And it kind of fizzled out. I haven't heard about that in some time now.
Sounds
But
uncomfortable.
yeah, but if you were a pitcher, would you want it to risk that little bit of deal with that little bit of uncomfortability to protect yourself. Sure, I was a pitcher back in high school. If it wasn't that, you know, if it didn't make that big of an effect in my ability to pitch or being comfortable on the mound, I would probably wear it. But aside from that, the Yankees, a lot of players were really ticked off because
The
the
video
video spread
leaked.
like wildfire, which is honestly on the end of the Yankees because
They're the only
they
ones
had a
there.
broad. Yeah, they're the only ones there. So that video clearly someone sent it out. And a lot of players were tweeting that they were really upset to see people sharing it. And I listen. I totally agree. I didn't want to watch that video. I saw it, um, but it's one of those things where you feel terrible for Stanton and you feel really bad for Tanaka. He's doing okay, which is great news for them because the Yankees and injuries go hand in hand. They actually DJ LeMahieu. I don't know if you saw Jason, but he tested positive for COVID. And then you had what's his name? It's gonna bug me. It's gonna drive me nuts.
What
He
team?
went on the Yankees pitcher. Domingo Herman was a beast for
Domingo
them
Herman.
last season.
Yes,
And
I
then
made a lot of
he
money
got,
on Herman last year. That's my guy.
yeah, but then, he got himself into some trouble. Obviously, CC Sabathia retired. Um, but then, they got Garrett Cole and James Paxton. So the Yankees, they're going to need to stay healthy. But aside from that, Tanaka's doing all right. And it was hard to watch that video, but it's a good thing that he's doing better. Moving on though from that, Jason, I don't know if you saw it, but Mike Trout really made it public that
Hmm.
he is not all that comfortable with playing, which means a lot because we haven't really seen.
But what does it mean exactly? Is he playing or is he not playing? Because he hasn't said I'm not playing. He said he's uncomfortable playing.
Yes, well, he said
So
he's uncomfortable playing. He's not said if he's playing or not. He and his wife are expecting a baby pretty soon, which is completely understanding in the sense of he's, not comfortable. Um, Even there was a picture of him rounding third wearing his mask, and his mom
they're
tweeted
making
it out.
a baseball card out of that. I don't know if you saw.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That's wow.
it's gonna be sick.
Actually, you mentioned baseball card. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see the Andrew McCutchen
Yes, with the double
baseball
cup.
card?
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone, I didn't even think about this. They put like a side by side picture of McCutchen when he was with the Yankees, and that picture of the card, the baseball
Hmm.
card. And I'm sure like the Yankees have a lot of really strict rules when it comes to
The
like
hair
facial hair.
policy.
Yeah. And it
Yes.
just showed. It was like someone had brought up, how that rule that the Yankees established hinders on the, I don't know, which privacy, I guess, or I don't know how you describe it, but like the players like morale, they're,
Yeah, it's
if
their
they like,
identity. I mean, it's who they are. They take that away from them.
yeah. So I thought that was very interesting that was brought up. Someone brought that up on Twitter. But back to our topic at hand with Trout, there is still some time left before the season starts. There's honestly a chance that he may opt to sit out. And a lot of guys, if you've been watching ESPN or sport, whatever you're watching or reading, they're saying that just because these guys are opting out, don't look at it in a negative light. It's not that they don't want to win. It's not that they don't want to compete. Their safety is the number one concern, and you have to respect that they're not playing for that sole purpose. But like if Trout or even LeBron decides to opt out, what is that speculation going to be? I think a lot of people would be pissed because, well, you lose the faces of the franchise, specifically talking Trout and LeBron here. So I don't know. It seems like he's going to play, and a lot of other big name players, at least at the moment, have decided to play. Although we did see David Price opt out with the Dodgers, which is huge considering he was, going to be a big piece for them and hopefully add to them being that final piece between him and Mookie Betts of actually winning the
I
World
also
Series.
read something that they have like 9 guys or something who like haven't reported to the team like at all.
Who, the
The
Dodgers?
Dodgers, yeah.
Well, there's some weird rules in terms of teams that are allowed to announce or make public these players that aren't showing up
Well, clearly
because
the
that's how
Dodgers
it's.
are one of those teams because David Price already said he's out. But there's these
Mhm.
other guys who just have not been in contact with like the team like at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think they're gonna play. I I think the Dodgers probably could have done it this year. Like that definitely had a good shot, but
They've been showing up as the number one team in all the power rankings that I've been reading,
yep.
between ESPN and MLB.com, Bleacher Report. So it's definitely a tough loss for LA not getting Price. And we're still some time away. So the odds of more guys opting out, I was kind of bummed about this, but Felix Hernandez opted out for this season.
I didn't see
Um,
that.
yeah, this is his first season with the Braves. He's been a legend, the king with the Mariners for his entire career. And he was looking in spring training. He struggled towards the end of the regular season last year. He's getting up there in age. But it was sad to see him opt out because that's a guy who you really root for. Um, but yeah, there's still a lot of undecided names or guys out there who have yet to officially say if they're playing or not. Um, let's talk a little bit about the Tigers, though. Spencer Torkelson, a lot of these big name guys are at Comerica Park for summer camp. Jason, I don't know if you saw the video of Torkelson
I
taking
did
the
see
tee.
it.
It's pretty awesome.
That's
I know
cool.
he hit like between like 10 or 12 home runs, but I watched his like post game interview. He said it was an amazing feeling to be there. It's pretty cool too because in the scenario we're in with COVID, like none of these guys, considering the minors are totally canceled, um, this is their home. Like often, like Casey Mize wouldn't have been pitching on the mound at Comerica
Yeah.
prior to making his transition to the majors. He wouldn't be in the scenario. So these guys are getting a taste of the action early, especially Torkelson, because we may not see him for at least 2 years. I would expect to see Mize and Manning maybe at the end of the season, but 100% next year. So big things coming for the Tigers, which is really awesome. They've been projected to only have 21 and a half wins, which is good for second to last in all of baseball.
Nice.
Jay, do you think that they will exceed 21 and a half wins? Do you think they will be tougher than that? What are your
I
thoughts?
know their schedule came out, but I haven't really looked at it. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure I would probably come out to like a similar number. Um, I think, we talked about it a few episodes ago how last year, like, the Mariners were just ridiculously hot at the beginning of the year for no reason. And the
Right.
Nationals were completely out of it at the beginning of the season for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that a shortened season could impact that number in a very strange way. And especially if you have them playing against teams, well, you know, let's say they're playing the Dodgers one day and they're supposed to be going up against Price, but instead they're going up against, someone else. With all these players sitting out and stuff, I think it's possible that they eclipse that number. I think they'll get over 21 and a half wins. Little optimistic Jay there for you. I usually am very pessimistic with my Detroit sports predictions, but with the weird season, and they're gonna
And a
we got
healthy Miguel
a
Cabrera,
healthy,
skinny.
skinny, rapping Miguel
Yes.
Cabrera. And I mean, obviously Miggy's old, but for the most part, we got a pretty young team. So I think we'll do well in the shorter type of season, and we'll come out of the gates sprinting.
I'm going to be honest. I think we have the potential to win at least 30 games, which that's a
Wow.
big
That's a
that's
bold
half of
prediction right there.
it's
Yeah.
like a 500 finish. And I only say that because, like you said, it's half of a season, right? So if we can stay healthy, especially Cabrera, I mean, if Cabrera's hurt, there's no way. I really think that these wins, these exceeding the 21 and a half win mark, only comes at the hands of Cabrera because he's, face of the franchise. We know what he's capable of. We've seen him lose this weight during spring training and performed well. Hit 2 home runs to the game off Garrett Cole, and say what you will about spring training games, but that's pretty impressive to do. So I think that if Cabrera is healthy and leads the way, we made big additions in CJ Crone and Jonathan Scope. I don't even know if you remember, but that happened so long ago. It's just one of those things that kind of blows right past you. And
Yeah.
CJ Crone has got some pop. Other than that, he doesn't bring a whole lot to the table. Jonathan Scopes,
He's a
great
great
second
player.
baseman,
Yeah.
and he's got some pop in his bat too. So there's definitely potential for the Tigers to perform better than most people expect. And if we can stay healthy and if our pitching staff does not suck, obviously we got Michael Fulmer back, who I don't know if you saw this, Jason. He lost like so much weight, and
Really?
he dealt with Tommy John last year, so he
Oh, that's
hasn't
not good.
he hasn't pitched since 2018. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out of the bullpen for the first few games of the season.
That would make
But the
sense.
Tigers, we open up in Cincinnati, and it'll be fun, facing Castellanos again, as he signed with Cincinnati. Just a couple of players and names I want to go over with you guys real quick because it's been so long. We had mentioned, Mookie Betts, David Price went to the Dodgers. The Reds signed Nicholas Castellanos and Mike Moustakas. I think the Reds are going to be really dangerous.
They're a sleeper
We're,
team for sure.
we're about to hit our predictions here. Um, your favorite player, Hyunjin Ryu, went
My
to the Blue
boy.
Jays. Your boy, he signed for Cheese. Um,
Rightfully so. Great
Rightfully
pitcher.
so. They got a lot of young talent, Toronto. Anthony Rendon went to the Angels. Another, in terms of predictions, you got Trout, Pujols, Rendon, and Upton. Will they make the playoffs and make it past the ALDS, which Mike Trout has never done? And Mike Trout's numbers in the playoffs, the one season, are not great. Will that make a difference? But let's do it. Let's talk our predictions. And realistically here, Jason, I'm just going to spit out the teams my surprise teams that I think are going to win,
Okay.
considering the 60-game season. So in a nutshell, real quick, I have AL East. I have the Rays dubbing, okay, over the Yanks.
Okay.
I think the White Sox are going to win the AL Central, and I think that the Astros are going to win the AL West pretty much by a long shot. Over in the NL East, honestly, I think the Phillies or the Mets are going to pull this off. Supposedly, Cespedes is looking really good. We haven't seen him in a while due to his strange injury history. I think he hurt himself falling off a horse or something, or getting on a horse. I don't really
The
remember.
MLB is the best injuries, dude. I forget who it was. I sent you the other week. Some guy is
Anna.
like, yeah, he like cut his hand open washing dishes, so he's like out for a couple weeks. It's just so
And
fun.
I think we talked about a meme last week or something when it was like when you're washing dishes and the dude's like whole shirt was soaked.
Yeah, just soak
I
him wet.
swear, I swear we brought it up on Bagels and Locks. Okay, moving on to the NL Central. I think the Reds are going to pull this off over the Brewers, over the Cubs, over the Cardinals. The Reds have insanely good pitching. They added Trevor Bauer. Sonny Gray was looking really great. And Luis Castillo, who had an incredible season last year. I think the Reds are a huge sleeper team. Like we had said earlier, Jason, they added Castellanos, who realistically I think is going to be, an all-star. Probably with the Reds, they got him for 4 years. Don't forget Eugenio Suarez, former Tiger, who hit 49 homers last season.
He was on
Joey
my fantasy
Votto
team.
is or was?
He was. I
Okay.
got to do a new draft.
I'm
I
so
actually came in second last year.
really.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you played fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was something
That's
to
awesome.
do. East Lansing in the summertime, man. And you're living with
Whoa.
Wiseback. Let's just say I talked a little bit of baseball.
Oh, that's hype. That's awesome. And then over in the NL West, I gotta say the Dodgers. I think the Rockies or D-backs will be close. Padres too, for that matter. The NL West is definitely
Good
improved.
division.
Yeah, honestly, a really good division. Any of those teams, I mean, San Francisco is a little tough. I'm sure you saw. Did you see Pablo Sandoval?
Yeah. Looking thick.
Like
I mean, he's
quarantine.
always looked fat, but like he's looking fat.
Yeah, he's looking like plump, like pot belly and a half.
hmm
Um, so yeah, in a
Did you see the
nutshell,
guy who posted that picture? Like, came out saying he's like really sorry about it.
no,
Yeah, it
I
was like
did.
some local. It came from some local like news reporter or something. They like wrote an article about them like starting up again, and later on they're like, I didn't realize like that picture would turn into what it like turned into. I'm like so sorry. Like I love you, Pablo Sandoval. Like I hope you're not
Wow,
upset with me.
wow. I know I didn't see that. I did not see that. But yeah, bro, that blew up. It was a lot of people were talking about it.
It's
And
hard to
he
miss, that's
look,
for sure.
he's a big dude, but I saw that and I was like, whoa, he wasn't swinging much of a bat. He was ripping the Clancy's, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I
Just
do.
handing the chips and pouring it back.
Yeah, a little salt bay into
Mm,
his mouth. Yeah.
yeah, with the chips, the chip crumbs.
hmm I wasn't planning on going division by division like you did, but since you did, I might as well. You know.
Okay,
So in the AL East, I actually like the Yanks. I
okay,
think they're overrated every year, and everyone's like, "This is their year. This is your year." I think this could be their year, honestly. Like, they 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 speak to the Yankees, bro. Like, it doesn't matter. You can go back 100 years and just say they're the Yankees, bro. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, they always have
of
the
course.
talent, the capability to get it done. They're just
If
one of the
they're
biggest
healthy,
franchises in the world. Yeah,
they're
100%.
healthy.
The Central AL Central. I know you like the White Sox. I'm gonna take you to a flashback of our very first episode of Bagels and Locks, where you mentioned the Minnesota Twins. I think
Mm,
for all those reasons you listed, pretty much last year, the same reasons. I think that they can really get it done. They have some great bats there, some decent pitching, and they have the whole momentum of the events of George Floyd and everything that's going on with them there. They have a lot of momentum behind them
sure.
right now. So I think they could use that as a little bit of fuel. But I could totally see the White Sox winning it as well. I don't think that's a bad prediction at all. In the AL West, um, I know you said the Astros. I do agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see how they bat without cheating. But I think
Sure.
the Athletics are always sneaky, like always near the top or at the top of that division
Hmm.
halfway or like 3 quarters through the year. So I think this could be a blessing in disguise for the Oakland A's, a team that everyone counts out pretty much year in and year out, and they're somehow always
But
up there.
they always surprise you. I agree. It's a great pick.
And then in the NL East, um, I mean, you got to go with the defending World Series champions. I think, right? I mean, how can you not?
Well,
Even
I'm
though the
I'm he-
Braves, I like the Braves and the Mets in there as well. I think those are two sleeper teams as well. Who did you
I
pick
think
out
you're
of that?
forgetting the Phillies, bro. Bryce Harper. He's I think he's going off. You got Harper, you got Reese Hoskins. Their pitching staff is solid. They just went out and got Zach Wheeler, JT Real Muto, McCutcheon, who could have
Yeah,
a solid season. Gene
I had
Segura.
Real Muto on my fantasy team too.
Really?
My team's name was keeping it Real Muto.
Oh my God. That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's an interesting division. Definitely. I like the Reds pick in the NL Central a lot.
Hmm.
I agree there. And then in the West, I wanna pick the Dodgers. always been kind of they've kind of been my NL team for a while. I've always loved Clayton Kershaw. I don't know if you knew this, but
And
him and Matthew Stafford
went to
went grew up
play
together and
baseball.
played baseball
Yeah.
together. I know that you know that because literally every single like Lions game or Dodgers game, they bring
It's
it up.
brought up.
Yeah, so
What else is there to talk about when the
exactly.
Lions are playing?
Or in that matter, in the middle of a boring baseball game that's not really going anywhere, when Clayton Kershaw's just pitching a beautiful game and it's
Yeah.
0-0. But yeah, so that'll do it for my predictions. Brandon, keeping on the topic of baseball, let's get to our 4 blanks of the apocalypse today. So
Yes,
we
our
will
final
be
segment
yes,
of
final
today's episode.
segment. Sorry if you made it this long. Congratulations! I'm very very proud of you.
We love you.
Text me to redeem your prize. Okay.
Yes.
But we this week we are doing our 4 ballpark foods that we will miss during / of the apocalypse. Now, I kept mine sort of unique to Comerica. It's not food only served at Comerica, but it's like food that I really enjoy at Comerica because I don't think I went to Tiger Stadium before it closed, but like I don't remember that. I was like
No
negative
way
years
you
old.
remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that Comerica, I could be mistaken. I might have gone to a White Sox game when I was in Chicago, but I'm pretty sure Comerica's at least the only one I remember, the ballpark I've been to. So it's sort of unique to that. I'm sure you've been to more ballparks than me, so yours might be a little more diverse.
Hmm. Not that many. Not that many more. I've been to Rogers Center and Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm. And the spring
Um,
training facilities in Arizona.
yes. Yeah. I've been. You're right. I've been to Lakeland for spring training, and I went to Cubs and the Angels Stadium. Um, I do want to mention though this segment is brought to you in part by Jelly Bellies.
No, we
Jelly
don't give
Bellies
out free ads. Fuck Jelly Belly. All right, go on.
where do they get the belly from jelly beans? I don't know. It
It
doesn't.
rhymes.
Why does? But I mean, jelly we understand. Belly not so much. But they're
They
good.
go in your
They're,
belly.
okay.
They give
all right.
you a belly.
And they give you a belly. They're
Yeah.
that good. But they give you a belly. So, all right. Jelly Belly doesn't sponsor us, but Jason, I want you to go ahead and give me your first pick.
My first one?
Food that you miss the most.
All right. My first one will be elephant ears. I fucking love elephant ears, dude. At the ballpark, I don't know why they just like hit different. It's just, I mean, it's doughy, like fried sugar. Like how do you not enjoy that? I mean, it's just wonderful. It's just like I remember when I was little, and like I asked like my dad or my mom or whoever was like, why do they call them elephant ears? And they're like, oh, like look at it, like it's like an elephant ear. And I was like, holy shit, that is mind blowing. Like who thought of that? So 10
Got
out
to
of
piece
10
it all
name,
together.
10 out of 10 taste, and it's like a ballpark experience. I mean, you don't like go to Redcoat and get elephant ears. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you can
it's
only
it's
get
a
them.
ballpark food.
Yeah. Well, I like your route here. I actually looked up some of the popular food items at different ballparks across the country, and I picked my favorite that I would prefer to eat, but it's tough that I miss out on eating them. So my first one are the smothered French fries from the Guaranteed Rate Field, which is where the White Sox play. So they have dessert sweet potato fries topped with powdered sugar, pecans, whipped cream, drizzled with chocolate and Nutella. They have Greek fries with Euro meat, tomatoes,
Greek
feta, and
fries are good.
tzatziki sauce. That sounds insane. Irish fries, bacon, sour cream chives, and nacho cheese. That's pretty basic if you ask me. Um, these sound good though. Dusted French fries
So
with
is this
Caribbean.
one? Is this one or like what? I thought we were
It's
going like
it's
one
these are like
one.
the flavors. This is one,
Oh,
but
these
they
are
have like
all the flavors
multiple
of the
of
fries.
the
Okay.
fries. Yeah, they have dusted French fries with Caribbean jerk chicken, uh, garlic and Parmesan, salt and pepper, and sriracha ketchup. So
Ooh,
I'm a big guy on fries,
I
and
feel
some
ya.
smothered fries at the ballpark. Can't go wrong.
Not teeth.
Nope.
All right. So for my next Ballpark food I will miss of the apocalypse. I have ballpark cinnamon roasted almonds. I love them,
Mm,
especially when they're just nice and hot and warm and you get them and they just I don't know, like there's just something about them. They just taste so good. They're pretty addicting.
mm-hmm.
Um
They're hot.
and that,
Love
I don't fall for the vendor's shit that often when they're walking up and down the aisles, but that is one of those things where, if I'm in the vicinity, I gotta get them.
it. You're pulling trigger. You're
Yep,
getting yourself
I have
some
to.
cinnamon roasted almond boys. Yeah, I agree. Although I would say that they smell better than they taste. Like the smell is amazing, and sometimes, I mean, if you get a good batch, but sometimes they're just not as like cinnamony. They're
That's
not
why
as good.
I feel like there's just so much better when they're like warm than they are
Oh,
when they're cold.
yeah.
I think it makes actually a world's difference.
You see that the thing that spins, like
Yes, that gets me. It gets me fucking
you
going, bro.
imagine
I
like
get
putting
so
your
gassed
hand
up.
in there, and, like just wow, that's
Oh
the
yeah,
best. We miss
and it's
we
got a
miss
good crunch to it. I don't know. There's just something
yeah.
about the whole experience.
This like the bag, the shape, the feel of it in your hands. It's awesome.
Hmm.
So mine is a little desserty too. This is the donut burger from Citizens Bank Park. So where the Phillies play, you have a burger patty with a glazed donut on the top and the bottom, cherry pepper jam, American cheese, and a couple of slices of bacon. It
That
looks
sounds
really
so
good.
healthy.
$14.
How
So
many calories?
little. Uh,
14,000.
it did not say, but just
I wonder
one
why.
of those things. That's something you eat only once that day. It's the only thing you eat because you feel bad about eating anything else.
And then you
But
pass
it
out and
looks
you wake
awesome.
up in the eighth inning.
Yes, yeah, it helps. It makes for a good nap during the game. Uh, but yes, that's it's a tough thing to eat because you go right to the bathroom. You got to wash your hands off. The stickiness from the donut. But I think that's awesome, and
Sounds good.
I'd love to get my hands on.
All right. So for my third ballpark food, I will miss with the apocalypse. Beer. I just think beer hits different when you're at the game. Like I don't know. Like I don't know what they're putting in it or what they're doing with it, but just there's just something about watching baseball and drinking beer in person that's just hits a little bit differently.
Hits your wallet pretty hard,
Oh yeah,
which is the
100%.
one thing that's like
Well,
sure.
your donut burger thing is $14. That's not cheap. I mean, we're not talking best bargains here. We're talking what we're gonna
No,
miss most. And it doesn't hurt a little when you get a little drunk before the game or, try and sneak a little sneakity sneak in
a
there.
little
So
sneaky. Oh yeah, you can't go wrong with the sneaky sneak. Right, pay a little bit cheaper prices before you head on in there. So that goes for every and all foods, including peanuts. Uh, I agree with you on that one, Jay. The one thing that gets me a little bit is $9 for a beer. It's tough.
yeah,
You cough it
that's
up.
where they get you though. They know that they know what
Sure.
you're paying for. It's good
Yeah.
experience.
All right. My third food item of the ballpark apocalypse. I've never seen these before. But they come straight out of Comerica Park. The Coney Dog egg roll
I, I
looks.
I've seen those on Twitter before. I have not seen those in person.
I haven't seen it in
The
person either.
glizzy
It's
egg
literally.
roll.
It's a Coney Dog that turned into an egg roll with this cup of cheese. Looks awesome, and it's only 6.50, which to me
I feel
seems
like it's not going to come close to filling you up.
no.
Like I feel like
It'll
you're
make you
probably
feel
getting
gross.
nothing. Yeah.
That thing just sends you to the bathroom. But it's Detroit Coney Dog. It's no Lafayette. I mean,
Unfortunately.
I'd rather go after the game.
Yes, sir.
Um, but it looks pretty nice. 6.52. It's not that tough.
Not tough at all. So for my fourth and final ballpark mood food, I will miss of the apocalypse. And this is specific to Comerica. I mean, it's not specific to Comerica, but
Mhm.
for whatever reason, like their chicken tenders and fries, I think just hit so differently than at other places. Like I don't know what they're doing over there or how they're preparing them, but they taste phenomenal. I really like their chicken fingers and fries that they have there.
Yes. Yep.
If you've ever had, you know.
I've had them, and there's something about their fries there. The fries are like the thick cut,
Yep.
not steak fries, but like the thick shoestring, if you will.
Like they're
Um,
from a potato. Like not
oh
that all
yeah,
fries
they're
aren't, but
like
like fresh.
they're Five Guys. They're very reminiscent of Five
Yes.
Guys fries.
That's a good comparison.
Five Guys fries are the best fries in the world.
I also have an
That,
honorable mention after you go, by the way.
okay. That's a great choice. You can't go wrong. Chicken strips and fries. My last pick is the Tres Leches milkshake from Yankee Stadium. It's $14.99,
Wow.
which is steep,
Tell me beer's
but
expensive. That's an expensive milkshake right there.
yeah, it's made with milk, obviously, vanilla ice cream, pieces of cake, and churro pieces, and it's topped with churros, like a
Ooh,
full churro. That hits different on a hot day.
definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. But go ahead, hit me with your honorable mention because I actually have them too.
Okay, awesome. So my honorable mention, it's an honorable mention because this isn't a ballpark food, but it's a food that I will miss from Ford Field from going to Lions games. It's not unique to Ford Field because you can also get it otherwise, but Slo's Barbecue, their pulled pork sandwiches hit differently. And when they put that stand, the Slows to go inside of Ford Field, let me just tell you, Brandon, my life changed that day. And every time I go to see a Lions game, I make sure that I
To
have
go to
Slows to go.
Slows.
Yep.
I've not tried their pulled pork sandwich.
Oh, you're missing
I've
out.
had their wings are really good. Their
They
smoked wings
are.
are awesome,
They
and
they can't do any wrong. They could do anything. They're
their
unbelievable.
sauce, dude, their sauces. You know the apple one, like the apple some
Yes.
barbecue sauce. Good night. Um, that's a great call there. My honorable mention, they have them everywhere, at all ballparks and in most stadiums. But on a
Water.
hot day, a hot day, Comerica Park, middle of the summer, frozen Minute Maid
I knew
lemonade.
that's what you were gonna say, dude.
It melts so quick,
That's
it's
great.
because it's like half juice but half ice. Those are the best. They're probably like $4, and that thing gets you going on a hot.
That hits. That for sure hits.
Yes, yeah. So those, unfortunately, are dearly missed. I'd do anything to have a frozen Minute Maid lemonade. But if you know me, I always bring food into the ballpark, so I bring in Bucharest.
Yep. Which isn't
Big
a
fat salad.
bad hit either.
Oh no, I
As
trust
Dan
me.
Dickerson knows.
Dan knows about the Bucharest shawarma. I've had numerous people always say, they'll like do one of these and then they'll like reach over your
Where'd you
shoulder.
get that?
That here, I'm like, no, I didn't. No, I did not. Only the smart ones know. The real ones know.
Yep. So thank you for joining us on Fuck That's Delicious. That was another food segment for you guys. But
I
actually, thank
wish.
you so much for joining us today on this episode of Bagels and Locks, number 7. Crazy to think we've pumped out 7 of these bad boys already. It's been a fun episode. Brandon, I'd like to thank you personally for repping BHG today, the Backwards Hat Gang,
Yes.
keeping it
Yes,
alive.
you are welcome. You
Yep.
are welcome.
Um, keep that up, everyone that's listening. And you have any final words or thoughts you'd like to add before we leave the people with it?
No, not necessarily. I just think by our next episode, I'm curious to see any other player, regardless of MLB or NBA, that decides to opt out. But yeah, aside from that, stay cool, stay inside, and a lot more to come on Bagels and Locks. And yeah, Jelly Bellies, rep them strong,
No,
rep
we
them
don't
strong.
do free ads here, dude. God damn it. When are you gonna learn this? And also, part of my take, I know you're listening because you took our cameo, you totally ran with our cameo thing. And even more so, Brandon mentioned Chris Hansen specifically. And that was one of the
Oh my
specific
God, yes.
cameos that you guys use.
Yes, yeah, that was you sent me that, and I thought it was an ad that
Oh,
like came, which is another thing too.
yeah.
uh,
Fuck all
if you
you guys
guys,
who are listening, because me and Brandon have been getting a heinous amount of Cameo ads like every day. Like they are fucking relentless.
and
Like
it's everyone we named too. It's
if
everyone we named.
if I
A
go on
lot of them.
Facebook right now, I bet you won't even take me that long to find one.
No, like quick. I couldn't believe they had Chris Hansen on because he's not like. I mean, he's not a Mike Tyson who's was it Tyson who
Speaking of
started in
Mike
'90?
Tyson and Cameo, I told you it wouldn't take me long. If you're watching
Bro,
on YouTube, I'm telling
is
you, I've
that
been living
Facebook?
with yes, I've been living with these ads for over a week now, and I'm
Uh,
sick of it. And they're
I
gonna
know I'm gonna.
eventually. I'm gonna buy one. I know I am, just because of all this
We're gonna.
shit. Also,
Yeah,
Floyd Mayweather, I sent you, is now on Cameo for $1,000 a video, but he
yeah.
can't
Miss
read.
Floyd.
So how someone's obviously gonna have to tell him what to say, and he's just gonna have to repeat it, which is tough. So I don't know if he's really worth the $1,000 because he's legitimately illiterate. If you're listening though, I love you. Please don't beat the shit out of me because you're the best
Please,
boxer of all time.
please. All right, Jay. I think that does it for this episode.
That'll do
I'm
it.
Brandon Rothenberg.
I'm Jason
Jason
Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Yep, you pointed at me to say it and then said it anyways.
And I said it anyway. We will see you guys.
It all falls apart at the end of the episode here. But that is right, Brandon. We will see you guys next week. So stay cool. It's hot out there. Bagels and Locks is recorded and edited by Brandon Rothenberg and Jason Silverstone. Shout out to Eli Weil as always for our theme music.